Tonight, we begin with development that federal officials had feared, tracked, and prepared for. A critical incident that unfolded not over weeks, but in a matter of minutes. Minutes that changed a family forever. Minutes that triggered a federal investigation. Minutes that put Border Patrol policy under a national spotlight. What happened during an encounter involving Alex Pretti crossed a line that oversight authorities had hoped would hold. And when that line broke, federal leadership did not hesitate. They responded with speed, formality, and accountability, placing the agents involved on administrative leave while investigators began sorting out exactly what happened. For months now, there have been signals, not official statements, not formal warnings, just signals that frontline federal enforcement along the border was operating under rising tension. Border Patrol has long been high pressure, yes, but it has also been highly procedural in its high-pressure operations. Their actions typically follow a certain pattern, a rhythm, almost a routine. But what set off alarm bells in federal oversight circles this week was that the routine went silent. Experts who monitor cross-border enforcement activity know the indicators: the spike in rapid response deployments, the increase in field encounters, the tightening of patrol coordination, the sudden shift in communication posture. And in the hours before the shooting, some of those indicators changed. Whenever a high-intensity environment goes quiet, professionals know something may be building beneath the surface. Early that day, according to preliminary reporting, federal authorities detected what they described as a field-level enforcement encounter, including a use-of-force moment that had not occurred in that specific sector in some time. These are the kinds of incidents that federal agents are only authorized to engage in when they believe they are signaling something very specific: a perceived threat, a rapidly evolving risk, or a situation they believe could turn dangerous without immediate action. Observers did not yet know which category this case falls into, or whether investigators may determine it involved a combination of factors. But what officials did know was that the situation was changing fast. And when a law enforcement encounter shifts rapidly without clear public explanation, oversight authorities pay very close attention. The response issued by Customs and Border Protection leadership was not routine. It was not symbolic. It was urgent. Sources familiar with internal protocol describe the move as procedural, necessary, and most importantly, protective of investigative integrity. Because administrative leave in cases like this is not a punishment. It is a safeguard, but procedures only work if agencies act quickly. And this time they did. Within hours of the shooting, officials confirmed the agents involved were removed from active duty pending investigation. These weren't ordinary scheduling changes. These were critical incident protocols, steps federal agencies deploy when preparing for a high-stakes legal and public review. Tonight, federal sources confirmed that multiple investigative bodies are now involved, including internal affairs and external review channels. Authorities are examining the timeline, the body camera evidence, and the scene reconstruction. Investigators will determine. They will analyze the initial contact. They will examine the perceived threat level. They will assess whether policy was followed. In other words, they are reviewing decision-making under pressure. This is what made the agency's response so immediate, because the shooting wasn't just an isolated event. It is a case that must be examined through the lens of federal use-of-force standards. And leadership, understanding that fully, responded with structure, not recklessly, not defensively, but procedurally. They didn't rush to conclusions. They didn't issue judgments. They initiated review. They initiated oversight. And here's where the story becomes even more consequential. Sources say the investigation will look closely at whether the encounter reflects a split-second judgment or preventable escalation. Officials want to know whether the situation tested the limits of training, communication, or policy clarity. What agencies fear most in moments like this is uncertainty. But this time, leadership did not delay response. They initiated a review that was so structured, so methodical, that even long-time oversight observers noted the speed. You don't get national attention easily in routine enforcement, but this case did. Analysts describe incidents like this as inflection points, moments that force agencies to re-examine procedures. And the federal response shows they are not in a passive posture. They are in an active review posture as more information came in today, we learn the scope of the response is broad. Internal investigators began formal evidence review. External oversight channels were notified. Department leadership initiated policy assessment. This isn't just a personnel matter. This isn't just an internal file. This is institutional accountability. This is procedural transparency. Remember, agencies often believe training and policy will prevent tragedy. They believe preparation reduces risk. They believe structure ensures control. They believe systems will hold under stress. But incidents like this remind everyone, real-world encounters are unpredictable. What makes this moment so sensitive and so important is that it comes at a time when border enforcement is already under national scrutiny. Lawmakers want accountability. Communities want transparency. Officers want clarity. Families want answers. And leadership is balancing all of that while an investigation unfolds. Officials stated the agent's leave status is consistent with standard procedure following a use of force incident. That is formal language for, we are investigating, and no conclusions have been reached. Leaders emphasize the investigation will be thorough and independent. Tonight, the focus is not on assumptions. It is on facts. Because when incidents like this occur, the integrity of the process matters as much as the outcome. And as this case unfolds, one thing is clear. The review is active, the scrutiny is real, and the story is far from over. We will continue watching every